We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, wrestling world. Welcome to another episode of the Scholars of Wrestling. If you don't know it by now, it is I, Tarek, your Master of Mastery. And alongside me, my co-host. Do your introduction, boys.
I am Jeff, the so-called Master of Foolery.
And I'm the Master of Douchery. You don't need to know my real name.
Okay, Brian.
I think Jeff just stole a douche moment from your pockets there, Brian.
It's okay.
I still know douchery.
He gets one. He gets one.
Wow.
I'll do something foolish later.
Whoever let me stop yet?
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Keep going.
Actually, no.
No, I'm good.
No.
I'm good. Start.
We're going to save the distrucity.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Welcome to the Scholars of Wrestling. And last week we had a lot to talk about when it comes to WrestleMania. So we kind of did a little glance over of the passing of the late, great Ultimate Warrior. And because of that, I want to take some time right now to talk about the Ultimate Warrior, remembering the power of the warrior coursing through the veins of all the warriors. Like you, like me. We are all the warrior.
Calm down.
Okay.
Calm down.
I'm sorry.
Remember what happened last week.
Okay. I'm sorry. The power of the warrior is just too much for me right now.
The power of the warrior was too much for the Ultimate Warrior. Who are you kidding?
Another douche moment.
Yeah, this is just like...
I'm just spitting truth.
It is true.
It is true, and the truth hurts.
Basically, that weekend in itself was too much for the Warrior. It was because you could Sunday, he looked all right. Well, Saturday at the ceremony itself, he looked all right. Like you wouldn't know that something was wrong. Okay, then Sunday.
He did that little appearance.
He looks
the
a
normal
little
class,
weird.
yeah.
Looks a little weird.
Really? He actually looked fine. I mean, he just came out on the stage.
I saw his hand clutch his chest for like a second. I saw him go like I saw him like do like when you're standing for the American flag. I saw him do that for like a second, and I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but let's move on.
I didn't even catch that.
I didn't even catch that. When I saw it, I just thought he was just like, my heart goes out to all the WWE universe. I didn't think it was anything in particular.
And then the promo on Raw is when everybody knew something was up, okay? Because he was a 54-year-old man, okay? He runs in, does the Ultimate Warrior thing with the ropes, and then all of a sudden he just kind of loses his balance and is kind of dizzy walking around the ring, and he grabs the microphone, having trouble breathing, clutching his chest a little bit.
I didn't even catch that.
And then he does the Warrior promo where he gets red in the face and you think his head is going to explode by the end of it. And I was like, and he's cutting that promo about life and death and all that, and I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? And then that's why I was not completely surprised when we got the news on Tuesday about what had happened, because it looked like basically WrestleMania weekend, I believe, killed the Warrior. Because it was just gradual throughout the weekend. It got worse, and then done.
Huh. Yeah, I really don't know what to think about that. I mean, granted, we're on the outside looking in. We're just looking at, it's WrestleMania weekend. It's a great time. And then we're seeing all this, all this photos taken of the Ultimate Warrior, all this stuff that's going on, and really, how much do we know about everything that the Warrior, or everyone else for that matter, how much do we really know about how much they were followed around, how much they were doing, how many more media appearances they were doing? There's so much that we don't see, and how much of that went into what happened with the Warrior, or was it just a freak occurrence? I don't know.
something definitely did seem off on his Raw promo. Just not even from what he was saying. It's like he knew something was wrong, and he knew that inevitably his end was coming sooner rather than later. I was really looking forward to him being a social ambassador for WWE. He signed a 3-year contract. I was looking forward to see what kind of chaos that man was going to give us all, but sadly it just didn't happen. And I want to take this time to ask you gentlemen, what moment throughout the Warriors' career made you feel, okay, I am a forever Warrior fan?
I had to be Warrior Hogan. WrestleMania 6, when Hogan passed the torch, with air quotes. Yeah, that actually happened. But when Warrior beat Hogan in the title versus title main event of WrestleMania 6, I was like, I'm a little Warrior.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. And just say what you want about the Ultimate Warrior. All the stuff that has been said about him, the DVD that came out, all of the trash talk that everyone was doing to the Warrior. He brought a lot of people into the business as fans. He brought in a lot of fans for the WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it. And he brought in a lot of fans. He was an ambassador. When there are 5 names that go around that if you ask random people on the street, they will know their names: Stone Cold, The Rock, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, and The Ultimate Warrior. And just because of that, his legacy is
Sealed.
Because someone who doesn't even watch wrestling, doesn't know the specifics and all that, you ask them about Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, they'll be able to tell you what you want to know. And that is pretty much all that needs to be said. There are so many little warriors out there now who are heartbroken because one of their heroes is dead. One of their heroes is gone. And the outpouring of support that came Tuesday night on my Twitter feed, which is basically entertainment people, like people that aren't even involved in wrestling, never talk about it, never even mention it anywhere. I was getting posts from everybody saying "Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior," out of the blue, just like out of nowhere. That's how I found out from one of my people in the entertainment industry on my Twitter feed saying "Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior," and I was like, "Wait, whoa, hold the phone." So I went, looked it up, saw it was true, and was like, "Oh crap." So it's a sad thing. It's a part of life, though, and I'm just glad that he was able to get the opportunity to mend some fences, build those bridges back up, and I'm glad that he went out as happy as he could possibly be.
Yeah, you really couldn't ask for a much better conclusion than that. I personally could ask for a better introduction to the Ultimate Warrior, because I'll tell you right now, when the Ultimate Warrior was as biggest in the WWF, I was not watching wrestling at this time. I originally got started with WCW. I'd always known who the Ultimate Warrior is. I was aware of him, but I'd never actually seen what the Ultimate Warrior is really all about until he came to WCW. I swear my first exposure to the Ultimate Warrior in an actual match was Halloween Havoc 1998. The infamous match between him and Hulk Hogan that was so horrible.
Oh, God.
That was my first in-ring debut. That was my first in-ring exposure to the Ultimate Warrior.
And was it that when the British Bulldog or some whoever it was wrecked his back on the Ultimate Warrior's little cage apparatus thingy.
I'm not sure. I try and block some of that out.
Yeah, that
now
was... His WCW run, let's just
not talk
put that
about
away. Put that away. Put that back in the closet where it belongs.
I'm sure he didn't even want to talk about his run in WCW.
Yeah. But again, when he showed up in WCW, I was like, oh, hey, I know who this is. I've at least heard of him. This could be interesting. And of course, the history books will show how that went. But, yeah, for a while, I was just like, okay, that's the Ultimate Warrior. I don't see what the big deal is. But then the DVD started to come out. And all the talk started to circulate. And everyone started to revisit those old Ultimate Warrior promos again about loading the spaceship with the rocket fuel, assume the controls, Hulk Hogan, put the plane into a nosedive. It's like, okay, now I'm finally starting to see what all the fuss was about. Now I see why this guy was so highly praised back in the day. And you know what? Just seeing how notable he was and just the way he had his own self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior DVD. As far as I know, he was the only one who was really putting that light like that so blatantly. And it was just so sad in hindsight, even though I admit I kind of drank the Kool-Aid because I didn't really see too much of the Warrior. I was like, you know what, you can just see his promos and you could think he's absolutely out of his damn mind. Which he probably kind of was. But at the same time, as time went on, I think I really wanted to see a more happy end to the Ultimate Warrior story. I didn't think it was very likely to happen, given the way WWE was at the time. They were very unapologetic. It was very cutthroat as far as how they were, and petty as far as how they were running their company. But then things started to happen. We started to see Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart get back together. We're seeing guys like Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts come back from the brink. We're seeing all these different things, and then finally the Ultimate Warrior comes back. And he says all the things we've been wanting them to say. He does all the things we wanted him to do. And again, whether or not he knew about some of his health problems, it seemed a little too perfectly wrapped up to be, he must have known. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, even though I heard about what the Ultimate Warrior was about much later after the fact, that, again, I may be a late bloomer, but that's one of those moments that really solidified who the Ultimate Warrior was and why it was such a big deal. He may not have been the greatest technical wrestler in the world, but he didn't need to be. He was a bright, shining, face-painty light in the crazy world of professional wrestling, which is crazy enough as it is. Okay, you're spazzed out over there, Master of Douchery. Yeah, you're... Okay, I think you're delusional with your cold or something. I don't know.
No, he just feels the power of the Warrior.
The power of the Warrior is coursing through the veins.
It's powerful, isn't it?
He is a literal walking microcosm of what it meant to be in the 80s during the wrestling era. During the... I cannot talk tonight. I apologize.
He was supposed to be a comic book character, and he pulled it off 100%.
He was the decade of the 80s in a person. Even to his dying day.
My very first experience with the Ultimate Warrior, shockingly enough, was WrestleMania 6 when he faced Hulk Hogan.
And you got it right.
I did get it right. I got it right. And as soon as when I first saw his Hulk Hogan promo, I'm just like, who is this man? He's so weird. And then I go back and watch his... match with the Honky Tonk Man when he first won the Intercontinental Championship, and he is the reason I am such an Intercontinental Champion fan. That is why it's my favorite title. Just from his promos to just him running to the ring, he didn't even have really great matches. It's just he was so full of energy. he really didn't need to have it be like amazing matches. He pretty much just kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. And then with his match with Hulk Hogan, oh my, this man is crazy. How long was that match? Actually, like
It was like 15
like
minutes,
15
maybe?
minutes. The entire 15 minutes. I was a hardcore Hulk Hogan fan because it's Hulk Hogan. He's the child man. He's the child's favorite.
He was a little Hulkamaniac.
I was a hardcore little Hulkamaniac, but just seeing what Warrior did in that match, I was like, I literally got up when Hulk Hogan hulked up. I was hulking up. When the Warrior was feeling the power of the Warrior, I was feeling the power of the Warrior. I became a hardcore Warrior fan from that match, and just watching his promos, and then the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior came out when we were older, and just hearing everyone talk bad about him, I actually got mad at that DVD. I'm like, you do not talk bad about the Warrior. He may not have been the best man, but he was an entertaining guy. He got people talking. And I think my most memorable moment when it comes to the Ultimate Warrior was when I went to meet the Ultimate Warrior at the Northeastern Wrestling Independent show. He was the special guest. I didn't get to have him sign anything and do the meet and greet because it was insanely large amount of money. This was a couple of years ago, but he did sprint to the ring wearing the Warrior makeup, wearing that awesome trench coat he was wearing recently, and he was just talking. I don't even remember what he was saying, but all I remember, I was front row, and all of a sudden, I'm just yelling, I feel the power of the Warrior! He literally stopped what he was saying, turned and smiled at me, and I'm just like, I turn around, the Warrior acknowledged my existence! I am a forever I feel the power forever! And now, a friend of mine actually recently got me those old toys of the wrestler
brawling buddies.
They're not even the brawling buddies. It was like a squirt gun, but it was like instead of a gun, you had the handle, but it had the Warrior's head. I was like a little kid again because I used to have the Hulk Hogan one when I was younger. It broke for obvious reasons. It was a cheap piece of crap. But when he gave it to me, it was broken. I'm just like, I am just not meant to actually have a fully functioning squirt handle thing. So what I did is I ripped off the Ultimate Warrior's head, put in stuffing in the head, and now it's part of the steering of my car.
It is literally your gear shift. The Warrior is your gear shift. I
just remember what makes this even more sad for Torek.
It really does make it more sad.
He gets to look at the Ultimate Warrior's face on his gear shift every
But
time.
I don't. Because I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I look at that and just remember what the Ultimate Warrior meant to me, the impact he made on me. Other than the Undertaker and other than Hulk Hogan, the Warrior was a reason I am such a hardcore wrestling fan today.
And I just gotta say, Nancy Grace, shut the hell up.
Oh, I am so glad that there was nothing. I'm so glad they released his autopsy and said that there was nothing in his system. No alcohol, no drugs, that his death was natural cause. And thank you, WWE, for making Nancy Grace enemy number one by saying, former wrestlers and current wrestlers don't have anything to do with this woman. If they invite you, say no. We're getting as far away from that horrible human being as possible. Suck it, Nancy Grace. Suck it.
Now, do we deny that the Ultimate Warrior took steroids back in the day, in the 80s? In the 80s, of course he did. Everybody did back then. Yeah. But to say, I'm not pissed off per se that she put the Warrior in that group. She said that Owen Hart died because of steroids. What are you doing?
That was like the final nail on the coffin.
Do some research, you dumb something I shouldn't say on this show.
Keep it a PG.
I want to move on because
Yeah.
I've got to start spewing obscenities.
Yeah,
in a
really.
minute.
Just the fact that we're talking about Nancy Grace even now is way more hype than she deserves.
And
It's, again, we know that the Ultimate Warrior had his history with drugs in the past. A lot of guys did. And it more than likely weakened his heart. Plus, the way he's been living and how crazy he's been going probably hasn't helped him. And he went the way of Eddie Guerrero, unfortunately.
And thank you, DDP, for defending it. This was supposed to be a moment to remember the Warrior, not to trash the Warrior for what he did in the past. DDP saying he's clean for years. The WWE has this really strict wellness policy. DDP, you are undoubtedly the greatest. We love you. And
2015 Hall of Fame, the end.
Must. And okay, get away from Nancy Grace. For the Warrior, we want to thank you for all the memories that you have given us and to everyone in the wrestling world. You will be missed.
We give you a round of applause.
We give you an applause. Standing ovation. Stand up, gentlemen. Standing ovation. Stand up, fool.
I am standing.
Stand up. There you go. There you go. To the Warrior, thank you. And what WWE did this week
Classy.
was all dedicated to the Warrior.
I honestly did not expect this. It's
I-
much nicer than I was expecting.
And yeah, not expecting it, of course. All week on the network, all Warrior moments, no doubt in my mind that was going to be the main focus of the network. But we're not here to talk about the network. We're here to talk about WWE Monday Night Raw, dedicated to the Ultimate Warrior. And honestly, what better way to honor the Ultimate Warrior, one of the greatest Intercontinental champions in WWE history, than by having a tournament, having a tournament and determining the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship.
Now, let me just say that I read during the week why they actually had this tournament. The number one contender, who was supposed to be the number one contender, guess who got concussed again?
Oh, yeah, Christian.
Christian was supposed to be the number one contender, but he got concussed again, so that's where this tournament comes out of. And
Thank you for getting concussed, Christian, because I would be so furious if you ended up becoming the number one contender. Because this doesn't help the Intercontinental Championship. Having you win be facing Big E does nothing for the Intercontinental Championship. Having this tournament, this is what's best for the Intercontinental Championship. Having top guys like Sheamus, Mark Henry, RVD, Del Rio, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, Wade Barrett. Am I missing anyone?
I do just want to say to the fans,
Sanity.
I do just want to say to the fans that we do not condone hoping that someone gets injured. We do not.
Oh, my hatred for Christian.
No, we do not condone it. All right?
As long as you're off my TV, I'll be okay with it. Get better soon. Just stay away.
Soon.
Just stay away from the Intercontinental Championship. Have a rivalry with Dean Ambrose for the United States Championship.
Hey, don't you pawn him off.
Don't pawn on. Hey, Dean Ambrose deserves better than that.
Hey, what better way to help put Dean Ambrose over Christian than just be like, okay, I may have held this United States champion for God knows how long. I may be soon to be the longest running United States champion.
I may have only defended it 3 times.
I may have completely taken the 30-day clause, taken it, shriveled it up real nice, ripped it apart, and sprayed it like confetti. It doesn't matter. He is a great United States champion. I just want to see him defend the title. And
because he's Dean Ambrose.
The only reason I'm saying put Christian on that is that Christian deserves to go for only the 3rd tier title, which is the United States title.
Hey, don't you talk smack about Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose is the best thing for the United States Championship, but he could do so much better.
Well, that same could be said for a lot of different people. But anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Okay, yes, we're talking
Let's
about
talk
the title.
about the thing that goes right by getting rid of Christian, and that's this really superb Intercontinental title tournament.
What better way to help build prestige for the Intercontinental Championship? Now that the World Heavyweight title, which was the 2nd tier championship for however long it's been, Now it's merged with the WWE Championship. Now we have bring prestige back by having former champions fighting, giving them something to do. They're top mid-carders. They're people who are actually being the future of the company. Once John Cena, once Triple H, once Randy Orton, once Batista is gone. These guys are the future. And every single match, I loved every second of it.
The matches themselves were very good. Very good. And, except the Van Dam match was pretty much a squash. But other than that...
Going to a commercial break was a squash?
Yeah, that's not really a squash.
I would say a squash is less than 5 minutes. This one, it took a commercial break. Took two segments to complete it.
Either way, it's a great idea. Cesaro is going to win the thing. Obviously. It's
with how much they're building him, I agree.
And the fact that they're probably, at this point, keeping him heel. They just branched him off from the Real Americans. But they're going to keep him heel. But... Alright, the real story of this tournament, for me, is how far are they going to let Bad News Barrett go in this tournament. Does he beat Sheamus?
Yes, I think
next week? I don't know, because if they're keeping Cesaro heel, I think the finals is going to be a heel versus a face. I think it could be Cesaro versus Sheamus. But the best final for this tournament, I do agree, is Cesaro versus Barrett. Cesaro needs to win this tournament. Cesaro versus Big E, and then he beats Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. Cesaro needs a title to basically cement his status with Paul Heyman. In my eyes, because Paul Heyman already has the beast that doesn't need any titles. He has Brock Lesnar. He has his beast that doesn't need a title. And Cesaro, you want to put prestige on the Intercontinental title? Have Cesaro win it, and then have Cesaro defend.
Unlike one other former Paul Heyman guy.
Every week. Have Cesaro
Curtis
just
Axel.
big swing.
Oh, I forgot he was a Paul Heyman.
Don't no. That will not add prestige to the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, having someone
beating Curtis Axel does nothing.
Curtis Axel as the Intercontinental Champion. It was good when he first won it in memory of his father, but after that, it really was just like really nothing. He was involved in big storylines, but he was not doing anything with it. He was just basically getting whooped by CM Punk when it was Paul Heyman versus CM Punk.
Yeah, really. The more we're talking about this, I think we really need to really bring in back the credibility that Brock Lesnar started and bring back the credibility of the Paul Heyman guy. Because really, after Ryback, that was really...
Oh, Ryback was never a Paul Heyman guy. That never, quote-quote, officially happened.
Well, either way, being associated with Paul Heyman just really lost its luster after a while. This, between Brock conquering the streak and this Intercontinental title tournament, this is exactly not only what Paul Heyman needs, it's not exactly what Paul Heyman guys need, but this is actually what the Intercontinental title scene needs right now. Again, I told you this before. I'm surprised you weren't booking this Raw. It was so well tailored to you. It was surreal. The first time I saw it, this Tarek is probably a very happy sport right now.
I saw Intercontinental title tournament, and the first thing I thought of was Tarek doing a Tom Cruise on his couch.
What's a Tom Cruise?
The
Oprah thing.
Oprah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought he was doing one of those. And just like... But I'm going to say this right now. The person who wins the Intercontinental title tournament, they need to go all the way on this tournament. The person who wins the tournament needs to win the title at the end of it. Because if they don't, then this tournament makes no sense. This tournament does nothing if the winner doesn't win the title.
I think they're building to that.
They're bringing back not just the prestige, but just what the Intercontinental title actually meant. This tournament, the Intercontinental Championship, was the stepping stone to becoming a main event guy, to going for the big title, the WWE title, or in this case, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. When is that title going to actually become one belt, do you think?
I have absolutely no idea.
I don't. If it does, they're not gonna get rid of that WWE title belt that they just
created.
Yes. So if anything, one guy will just be like, "What is this crap?" and then just throw the belt, just throw the World Heavyweight
come out
belt
with the one belt.
Yeah, but with the one good thing that unifying those titles did, the World Heavyweight and the WWE Championship, was put the Intercontinental title back in that spot.
Yeah, back
as
in
the number 2 title. Because let's face it, the World Heavyweight Championship was the number 2 title.
Yes, and
the Intercontinental title dropped down to number 3 at that point.
Like I said before, the World Heavyweight title became the Intercontinental Championship back then, and the Intercontinental Championship became pretty much the European title back in the Attitude Era. And as you guys know how much of an Intercontinental title fan I am, I hated that because one thing...
Did you?
I hated it. Becoming to the status for the European Championship?
Really? I never heard that.
Oh,
yeah,
you and your sarcasms. You got me.
I applaud you for... We don't know about these rants that come out every week.
Okay, Brian, I am taking away your douche title and giving it to him.
No, champion.
For tonight. Because he had me hook, line, and sinker with all seriousness. Oh.
What does that say about your mind?
Makes me want to just throw you guys out my window with all your...
I'm the new douche champion. You can't stop me.
You have to do something big to claim your title again, Brian. So all in all, out of all the matches that happened this past Raw, which one would you actually give the match of the night?
As far as the Intercontinental title tournament?
Yeah, as far as the tournament is concerned. Which one did actually took your heart and be like, you can have it. It's fine.
I would say match quality wise.
Yeah.
I would go Van Dam Del Rio. I would, because I'm a Rob Van Dam guy, so automatically Cesaro versus Henry was all right.
It showed about as much as a strength man like Cesaro did with a slow big guy like Mark Henry.
Sheamus Swagger, I've seen it before. It was basically the same thing. It was well wrestled. One thing you can't take away from Swagger is he's a good wrestler. His personality he has no character. He's boring, but he's a good wrestler. But that was like a 6-minute match, and was like, okay, I've seen it before. Sheamus wins. We move on, and I'll give close second to Ziggler Barrett. That was a pretty good. That was a pretty good match.
I would have to say Ziggler Barrett stole the match of the night for me, because just with Del Rio Van Dam, I knew Van Dam was going to win. I mean, they had Cesaro win the first bracket, and at the time I was thinking, yeah, they want to have a heel versus face in pretty much every match. What better face than RVD? But when it came to Ziggler and Barrett, I was just all in all. I'm just like, I honestly don't know where they're going to go with this one. And both of those guys were on their A game that night.
Yes, indeed.
I was hooked in every second. So in the end, all of the guys were on their A game, but I feel that, I'm stealing from the authority here, Ziggler and Barrett were on their A+ game.
Yeah, this one was a little bit tough to call since, again, in the heat of the moment, I was just sort of watching all these matches like, oh yay, Intercontinental title tournament. But if I had to pick one, I would say I was the most excited over Barrett Ziggler, just because, yeah, I wasn't really sure how they were going to go with it. I was hoping they were going to give Barrett a little bit of a push since Bad News Barrett is over his head.
Yeah, it is.
And,
now it is.
Yeah,
they finally got it over.
Hey, better late than never. But yeah, I'm just glad they're finally getting it right.
And we'll move on to the main stories that came out of this Raw. Those were just the matches setting up to bring prestige back to the IC title. But when it came to story, let's talk about Cena versus Bray Wyatt. John Cena, another John Cena promo. It's like starting all over again. John Cena started making fun of the Wyatts.
I knew you were going to say this.
He made fun of each of them again, and okay, he may have like quote unquote conquered them at WrestleMania, which I'm not really a big fan of because the babyface conquered the heels, so they're just now the role reversing, and we're just like not intentionally the face, but like we're supporting Bray Wyatt to take out Cena. Or all in all, it just wasn't like a good build, good way to start. I'm glad for the steel cage. I can't wait for the steel cage at Extreme Rules, right, Brian?
Yeah, I disagree with you on so many levels. I thought this build was absolutely fine. Like I understand where you and other people would come from. It's like, oh, it's just back to the old John Cena formula. Oh, he's just gonna rip in the Bray Wyatt. Am I seriously the only one who has just come to expect this kind of thing from John Cena?
Oh, I expect it. It doesn't mean I like it.
Here's my deal, alright? I would be fine if he went back to the jokey John Cena and the jokes were actually good or funny or anything of the above. But it was the same. It was the stuff you see over and over and over again when feuds happen and they do the joke about the person on the screen in different kinds of pictures and all that. And I'm like, I've seen it before. This is annoying. It's stupid funny. It's stupid. If the jokes were funny and good, then I'd be like, okay, this is fine. It's the build for WrestleMania and whatever. But because it wasn't good.
Of course, it wasn't good. It was a John Cena promo.
Exactly, but it's like if you're gonna do funny and you're gonna do jokes and you're gonna be jokey, John Cena, you gotta be funny, or else I'm not gonna care and I'm gonna get pissed off, and it's bad for me in the build-up. I like that Bray Wyatt came back and brought him back to serious John Cena.
Right.
I like that bit of it, but the whole part with the jokes and whatever, it wasn't funny. If it was John Cena making funny jokes about Bray Wyatt, I'd be funny, ha. All right, now get him back to being serious, and we can move on. But it's formula, John Cena, yes, but the formula was bad in the first place.
I just have one question for you guys. I don't remember what exactly was said from Cena. I just remember the pictures and him making fun of them. Did he actually go to a point where he says, "Okay, you guys were a threat to me at WrestleMania. You really did bring me to my limit. So I want to." Or is it just making fun of you, and now it's like it's time for me to shut you up once and for all without your cronies in a steel cage? Did he actually a point where he says, like, I respect Bray Wyatt?
He didn't go that far. But he did get Bray Wyatt did his whole thing. Oh, so now that you think you conquered us, you go back to your jokes.
Yes.
You go back to your jokes. And then John Cena was like, alright, you want serious? And then and I'm like, I'm cool with serious John Cena. I'm cool with jokey John Cena when the jokes are good. But these jokes were horrible and bad, and Formula John Cena has always been bad. So I'm just like, when he goes back to that, I'm like, But afterwards, when he got serious, when they went forward and said steel cage, I'm like, okay, I'm back in, because it's John Cena and Bray Wyatt in a steel cage, and that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
no matter what. But it's like if that's the way you want to start building it up, doing funny photos on the Titantron, not even funny photos, just stupid photos. And just like that, I'm like, you've done better than this. You've done better than this. Why are we going back to? Why are you going back? No, I'm like in the build before. I know. In the build before, you were doing better than this. It was awesome, and now you go back to that. Why?
I'll tell you why. Because that's the way the story is progressing. If you think about it, this takes on a very different sort of curve than a lot of the John Cena promos and feuds that we've seen. Sure, Bray Wyatt is very different. When this feud started and they're building up to WrestleMania, yeah, Bray Wyatt is very different. Bray Wyatt is exceedingly different. Now we got someone that John Cena doesn't really know what to deal with. We don't know what he's going to get. Now we got all this taunting, and then we got the Bray Wyatt spider walk in the middle of the match. John Cena's freaking out. Wrestle, WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. He wrestles Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt tries to play his little mind games. John Cena wins. Then, naturally, Cena gets a little bit more arrogant. Cena realizes, okay, now I have some idea of what Bray Wyatt is capable of. I beat him in a match. Now I can sort of rest easy and I can do my stupid little John Cena thing. Now I'm doing that. And like Bray Wyatt himself even alluded to, yeah, at this point, Cena's getting cocky. Now Cena's like, okay, I'm back in Cena mode. And here, I'm going to make a prediction right now. You can, again, I'm sure we'll get into this later, right before Extreme Rules goes on. We'll do our little predictions. But the way they're building it up, it seems like, you know what? I think John Cena is going to get cocky again. Bray Wyatt's going to go all no nonsense here. Bray Wyatt is going to, this is the place where Bray Wyatt is going to beat Cena clean in the steel cage. That's where he's going to get his victory back, and then if they want, the feud will continue from there.
But here's also my problem. Okay, if you're gonna go for the cocky John Cena, if you're gonna go for the formula John Cena afterwards, why would you have that match on Raw and Bray Wyatt doing his the match on Raw last week, where at the end of the match John Cena's playing up on the ramp, he's all scared again. And then all of a sudden it was a culture shock when he came out on Monday and started doing Jokey John Cena, because after the match that they had the night after WrestleMania, he's still playing scared of Bray Wyatt. So I'm like, why would you do that? It was just a mess in my mind, it was bad continuity. Because if you're gonna play up the cocky, funny John Cena, trying to be funny John Cena, why would you do that last week?
Just like what you said, inconsistent writing. If
the writer's screwing again.
Yeah, really. I'm being completely honest here. If there's one thing we've realized, it's that the writing team is ridiculously inconsistent, and the only good thing they're consistently good at is revisionist history. They can look back at something that happened weeks later. They can't come up with decent stuff on the fly, but they can go back and they can cut together some really awesome historical promo packages. Like, again, what was the turnaround time for some of the Ultimate Warrior tribute videos they put out? Less than a week, if that. And then you just throw all that great stuff together. And, again, they're great at revisionist history, not so great about crafting their current history.
What should have happened, all right, is this should have happened last week, and that match happened this week.
I agree.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I actually do agree on that one. If, like you said, for continuity's sake, John Cena still showed fear last week. He's showing like, okay, I still beat him, but this guy is still a force to be reckoned with. The fact that he's just making fun of him, and then when he got serious, he just says, I'll just take you in a steel cage without your cronies. If he actually acknowledged that Bray Wyatt actually is someone to take seriously, then I probably wouldn't be so upset from this promo. It's just the fact that he really didn't acknowledge Bray Wyatt's, well, quote-unquote, credibility. It just is that typical John Cena where he just not... it may not be good writing on Cena's part, but like when you look back on this past Raw in general, after Raw happened, I gave it a goat face just because of how everything else happened. It's like the writers do great with everything that's going on, except when it comes to John Cena, because John Cena's pretty much just typecast as the happy-go-lucky guy that makes fun of his opponents, pretty much just makes everyone look silly. I just don't want to see him. I want to at least see him acknowledge that, yes, he may have defeated him, but he is a force to be reckoned with in Bray Wyatt. I mean, look when Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt had a feud. Daniel Bryan may have taken out Bray Wyatt in the cage when he left the Wyatts, but he still acknowledged Bray Wyatt is a threat. He is something to be feared.
Well, if you think about it, that's what Cena already did as far as the build to WrestleMania and the week after. We already saw that. And the fact that he got serious at all against Bray Wyatt just last week in getting hyped up for the steel cage, that tells me everything that I need to see. I mean, everything else I just chalk up to, bad writing and John Cena just being stupid. I didn't really take it all that hard just because I can see where they're going with this in the longer term, and that's a very good thing in my book. Plus the fact that...
And then Cena wins at Extreme Rules.
Oh my God, my head will explode.
He will not. He will not. Bray Wyatt will get his win back, and everything will be gravy.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want to see at Extreme Rules. I want the steel cage match to be a pinfall victory. I want them to take out the rules that you have to leave the cage. It's pinfall only, and just for giggles, I want them, because it's Extreme Rules, I want them to put barbed wire on the top of the steel cage.
I would love to see that.
Just be like, okay, make sure no one gets in, like Harper and Rowan, which I still don't think they're going to anyway. I think Bray Wyatt's actually... This is what I wanted to see at WrestleMania. I wanted Bray Wyatt to tell him to go back, I got this. I want to see that at Extreme Rules. I want to see Bray Wyatt and John Cena one-on-one, because that's one thing I didn't like about the match at WrestleMania, the fact that Harper and Rowan had to get involved in the first place.
But what will actually happen at WrestleMania is this steel
Extreme
cage...
Rules.
Extreme Rules. Yeah. Well,
we're all feeling the power of the Warrior.
What'll actually happen at Extreme Rules is this is a way for Bray Wyatt to get a cheap victory, escape the cage, because John Cena is either distracted or they do the whole oh, John Cena's got to go up the cage that way, I'm gonna crawl towards the cage this way and get out that way. So I can see what I want to see is what Tarek just said, but what I see happening is this is a way to give John Cena an out.
No matter what, this feud is continuing after this pay-per-view, and
there's
going to be a best. It's going to be a best of three.
It'll be fine. The whole series will be great, and I don't think we're going to have anything to worry about.
Not at all. And now let's get into the big story that came out of this past Raw: the return of.
By the way, did anyone else notice that it wasn't even the Evolution Titantron? It was just a still image of the image.
Yes, that's what I loved about it.
That's what I hated about it. I could not take this seriously. It was like, okay, I get it. Evolution's back. It's whatever.
Well, they couldn't use the Titantron because it's got Ric Flair in it. And if they do that, then they have to bring Ric Flair back.
Yeah, but still, come on. They can at least animate the logo again.
I'll give you that. They could at least... It was a little cheap.
It just seems so haphazard. I mean, if we're supposed to get so hyped up over a big, stable reforming like this, Evolution, I mean, come on. At least put forth a little bit more effort to make us care. Or at least me care. I mean, you're sort of like, okay, yeah, just throw it in Adobe Photoshop for like 5 minutes, and then just, okay, now they're back now, yay. And
I think it was just the impact of what actually happened than the actual picture that was on the Titantron.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, maybe it's just the production
side of you.
Yeah, it's just my production degree that really kicked in the gear. I was like, you know what, that really just took me out of it. That looks stupid. And you're getting paid way more than I am to do this crap, and then you're getting away with just something in Adobe Photoshop. I mean, come on. You can do better.
But hey, look at the positive on this. 3MB got to be in the main event of
Yes.
a Monday Night Raw.
Drew McIntyre in the main event.
Sold, done.
Don't you dare hinder gender.
Raw's over. Everybody go home.
But yeah, like, let's see. There was 3 on 11. Let's see. It was 3MB, Rusev, Jack Swagger,
Titus
O'Neil. Who else?
A whole bunch of people who don't really matter.
Fandango. Yeah, it's pretty much all the heels. Well, at least most of the heels versus the Shield. They get taken out because, yeah, I mean, it's not like they faced 11 guys before, but it wasn't even really supposed to be a match. It's kind of similar to the
organized beatdown.
Yeah, it's similar to Daniel Bryan and Triple H building for their WrestleMania match, the security guards and whatnot. It's just 11. It ended in disqualification. All of them getting beat down. Evolution's music hit, and just seeing them walk down the aisle, and I really did miss that theme song. I love that theme song. Them taking out the Shield. It was like, oh.
I'll say this.
Okay, the fact that my hand clapping actually sounded like the ticking, it was unintentional.
I didn't hear that.
The segment itself was great. Was awesome. The crowd reaction?
Not so much.
Meh. It was like it was supposed to be this huge grand thing, Evolution's return, right? And the crowd basically was like, "Nope, don't care." That's it.
And you know why, right?
So it took away from the segment because this, in my opinion, will most likely be your main event at Extreme Rules. Evolution versus the Shield. I believe that it will be your main event because it's Evolution. You're gonna say Triple H, Batista, and Orton aren't gonna be in the main event. Daniel Bryan deserves to be in the main event. But if they go through with what they plan, what I think is going to happen, I do believe that this will be the main event at Extreme Rules, and you get this crowd reaction when Evolution first comes out. I'm like, is it great to see Evolution back? At least 3/4 of it. Of course it is. That music is iconic. That music is awesome. And just them coming out and what they did, they believe in Evolution.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
or whatever.
Did it find
that was great?
Did it strike anyone else as funny that they were basically in in the South when they were doing that?
I guess not. I guess I didn't make a connection.
I didn't even think about that.
The Bible Belt.
Oh yeah. But
a lot of people were. I know that's not how they meant it, but it's
awkward.
It's funny.
if this is going to be one of your big matches for a pay-per-view, that reaction was not what you wanted.
And you know why, right?
Because
Poor Photoshop skills. Put together come on, you got a multi-million-dollar editing company, and you cannot just edit together some sort of new Titantron for Evolution. I mean, come on. Okay, I'm gonna get off of this
I just
for a while.
assume it was just because most of the crowd that night was a bunch of kids and they just didn't know who Evolution was.
Nah, they must know who Evolution is. I mean, it really wasn't all that long ago. You can have the older fans tell them about it. Besides, they've got access to
the network.
the WWE Network now, and any number of new things. They can learn about this stuff. The
Well, now they
WWE,
can.
yeah, but the WWE just put forth the extra effort. We know you got it. We all know that you can at least produce something to make this special. In hindsight, just
these are your 3 cash cows. You can't put together a good production.
even Lana got a Titantron just like this past
And
week.
you're not gonna give Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton a Titantron.
Yeah, something's wrong here.
All right, they'll probably give us a video next week when they
I
come
certainly
out to
hope
open
so.
Raw.
If
Because
they don't, I will laugh.
okay, we all know that Evolution is going to open Raw this coming
I know
week.
Evolution is the game.
Evolution is the game. Nobody can defeat
Evolution is the derp.
the game. Evolution
Cannot
is
be the derp.
derp. Game, derp.
Game, derp.
But now here's a question for you. This is kind of jumping the gun because they're just focusing on the 3 members that are currently here for Evolution. But like after their match with the Shield, do you, because of what Evolution stands for, do you see a 4th member?
Yes, I do.
A new young talent
I
coming
do
up?
not.
I do, because they've actually talked about it. I've seen news on the internet that they're talking about adding a 4th member. They haven't said who,
I've heard one name being rumored, but I just chalk it up to being a rumor.
but
Is it who I'm thinking of?
I'm not sure if you know who I'm thinking of right now.
I believe
In the Shield?
No, you just ruined it. Oh.
Believe.
I was gonna say
no! Don't do that. Why would you do that?
I was just gonna
I
say
think he just stole your douche.
no, he didn't. I was just gonna say Prince Devitt, but that would have been awesome. But now,
Oh man, I do believe at some point they'll add a 4th one. I think Triple H. I think Triple H will take on the Ric Flair role.
Yeah, I
at
could
some
see. I
point.
could see that happening because
And then they'll add someone. They'll add someone to be
What Randy Orton and Batista
to be
were.
What Randy Orton
Yeah.
and Batista were.
who do you want it to be?
I honestly don't, or I didn't care until I heard the name Prince Devitt, and I really got interested there. Outside of that,
What if it's one of the members of the Shield?
that won't happen.
That would be an interesting twist. We'll probably save that for the Extreme Rules prediction show.
Yeah, this can't pull that out of nowhere. It would be too bad for all involved. It just no. That's a whole other conversation for another time.
Who I want it to be is, like, people are saying it's going to be just someone from NXT, but I feel like it should be someone who's been on the main roster for a good while.
If they're gonna go with NXT, I think they should do Sami Zayn.
Maybe.
I can't see Sami Zayn as a heel though.
You never know. Some people do.
You never know.
But like what I was saying, if it was going to be someone who's been on the main roster for a while, someone who's been established on TV that should get a decent push, someone who actually was on this past Monday Night Raw, talking about that he should be in something greater.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
I think you see where
Mr. Sandow.
Have our intellectual savior Damien Sandow be put in Evolution, and I actually would love to see that work. In a way, it could work from how they had his character being the intellectual savior and a guy who actually, before he started getting on this hardcore losing streak, had 2 5-star matches with John Cena. It's me once again.
He'll have to get on a winning streak before they even think about him for.
I mean,
Evolution.
what was the
Character-wise.
What would be the point of having him have that mic time? If they just wanted to have him have a simple squash from Big Show, they wouldn't give him the mic. They would just had it be a one-on-one, and Damien Sandow goes in for a punch. They gave him the mic saying that he's better than he's pulling a Drew McIntyre. I'm better than this.
Here's the deal, though. They did that for Drew McIntyre too, but now look at him. He's in 3MB. So
and it would give Damien Sandow something to do, and in a way, it could I'm seeing it somewhat mirroring what Triple H went through. He being like a sophisticated person, he came out with like the nice music and like doing the bow.
The blue blood.
And like we were saying, he must have did something to anger someone backstage to give him this losing streak, similar to what Triple H did after the MSG incident.
Or they're testing him like they have for all those guys over the years. They did it for MVP. They did it for Drew McIntyre. They could just be testing him to see if he'll take it.
And honestly, he's been doing it. Like, he's still coming back. He's still getting responses from us because Not even just because we're the scholars of wrestling, just because we're fans of Sandow and we know what he's capable of. So if it was going to be someone out, it'll probably be someone who's on NXT. But if it was someone from the main roster, I would love to see Damien Sandow actually become the 4th member and basically pulling something completely left field. Someone who's known to the crowd and who has made his mark. I mean, people were acknowledging his matches with John Cena, saying that they were awesome. This is now set for him to go. And what else can I say than give something for our intellectual savior to do?
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, but you know what? If this, assuming that what we saw with on a segment between him and the Big Show is actually some sort of push in the right direction, I would love to see it. I'm not totally convinced that that's the way that they will do it.
This is just me.
But I would still, if we're just fantasy booking, then yeah, I would love to see Damien Sandow finally get a mega push as part of Evolution. I think that would be fantastic.
It'd be something to help even tweak his character a little bit, because one thing he needs like a new finisher. He has the moveset, he just needs a more dominant finisher. I mean, look at Randy Orton when he became part of Evolution. His finishing move was that, I don't even know what it was called, when he had the leg on the person's head and just flipped them down.
Playmaker?
What is that? What it's called? Playmaker?
Well, that was when MVP did it.
Either way,
but like as soon as he joined Evolution, he started doing the RKO.
But even so, Sandow, what Sandow needs right now is not a new finisher. What Sandow needs right now is motivation. If you want to give him a new finisher, if you come up with something decent, sure,
save it down the line.
But yeah, what Sandow ultimately needs right now is just
something,
a push, a direction. I think he's got his own character down. Maybe just tweak it a tiny, tiny bit to make it compatible with Evolution. But for the most part, he's got all the tools already. He just needs to be put on a right position on the card. And if a 4th person is actually going to be added to Evolution, Damien Sandow very well could be the right guy to fill that role.
What better way to end this episode than talking about our intellectual savior and something that could help him.
And happy things for a change.
And happy things. Well, we've had happy endings before.
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying we haven't, but I'm just saying.
No, you're missing it.
You walked into it.
You know what? Happy endings for us all. I'm just gonna go with it. It happened.
Do my plugs now.
Yeah, go ahead. Do your plugs. Happiness.
Okay. Phrasing.
Boom.
Boom. And anyway, you can check us out if you're not already at our main site, scholarsofwrestling.podbean.com. There you can also subscribe to us on iTunes, so you can get free content every single week into your ear holes via iTunes. It's fun. And you can also find the link to our Fantasy Wrestling League. You can play with us every single month, predict the outcomes of all the pay-per-views. That's always a blast. You can also follow us on Twitter at our main line at ScholarsOW, and along with our own personal Twitter machines. You can also send us an email if you like at our main email address, scholarsofwrestling@gmail.com. Do the stuff, follow us all over the place, including the interwebs, on Facebook. Look us up, the Scholars of Wrestling Podcast. We're there. We upload all these different funny match videos, articles, and that brighten your day, keep you entertained at work. It's all good. It's free. Follow us.
And we want to thank you for listening to us tonight. We want to thank you all again for listening in. I am Tarek, the Master of Mastery.
I am Jeff, the new Master of Douchery and the Master of Foolery.
No, you lost that one from me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
And I'm just Brian.
You know what?
The Master of Nothing.
Here you go. Here you go, Brian. We'll give you this.
I'm the Master of Douchery again. All right.
Shenanigans, I'll come back for my title. Who are we?
We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. Good night, everybody.
I will rematch for the title soon.
It'll never happen.
And I will
It
stop
happen.
you this time.
No.